Welcome to the Film Photography Podcast, the podcast for people who love to shoot film. And this is episode number 27.
Wow, really? 27 we've done?
Maybe. Yes, February 1st, 2011.
Feels like hundreds.
That was HBO to be like our 6th season.
Really? Yeah.
My name is
We'll do like 4 shows.
my name is Michael Raso, and I'm sitting here to my left is John Fedele
Hello?
and Duane Polcou.
Hello, everyone.
And this is actually the first time that I have kind of counted. I've always wanted to intro the show saying, welcome to episode number, but I never could figure that out because I never checked the log. I always just use the date. I know this is insequential.
Yeah, no, fascinating. No, it's
insequential.
fascinating. Go ahead.
But this is episode...
Captain's log.
This is episode number 27, and what's different about this episode is the fact that over the break and whatnot, we transformed the studio, and Duane,
You swept?
You will attest. No, we didn't sweep
Exactly.
yet. You will attest to this. I'm used to recording the podcast in a very dark. We usually have like one light bulb, like a 40-watt bulb. No joke.
Nope.
Like the windows are open, and like one little lamp. And we start recording in the afternoon.
It was like low-end burglars counting their booty after a really bad bank heist. Here's a 20. It was so dark and dank, and like one little bulb was what it was like.
And we'd record in like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then it would just be dark. So what's different now is that we are now ablaze in light.
We're in the light, yes.
Because we're this is the first ever. I don't want to call it an experiment. Our technical director Jeff. Hey Jeff.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Jeff.
We're doing an experiment to try to capture the joy of film photography podcast
Visually.
visually.
We have a studio audience. Hey, guys, doing back up there. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
But we'll see how that goes.
Hey, maybe next year we'll have a studio audience.
We're going to have a comic open
never
for
know.
us.
Yes. The downside is that we can't just slum it, like just wear a
No.
ripped shirt.
No.
I mean, I guess we could.
I can't come in hungover and unshaved.
I've never seen you in a suit jacket in my life, Mike.
Really?
You look very dapper with the hat and
Next
the
time you
jacket.
see him in a suit jacket is in the coffin. In the box.
With an FPP little things together.
Tattoo on his head.
FPP.
Well, we have a really special show today. It's February 1st. It's freezing out. It's winter here in the eastern United States. I mean, really, really, really cold.
How much snow can you photograph, really?
Well, it's not so much that, but I'm having a hard time getting myself in the mood to actually get up, grab a camera, and go out.
It's too bitter cold.
It is
It's
bitter
like
cold.
20 degrees, 30 degrees.
And I was trying for the longest time to kind of get out every day and go on a photo walk and just see if I could find anything interesting to shoot between like my studio and, let's say, the Dunkin' Donuts.
Here's some inspiration for you. My friend
Yes.
Clark Lubbs, who owns a photography gallery.
What was
in,
that, Clark?
Clark Lubbs.
Lubs.
Lubbs.
I loves that name.
He owns a photography gallery, and I believe it's in Old Forge, New York, called the Starving Artists Gallery, and they sell his photography. And he contacted me on Facebook and said it was 30 below zero.
Oh, my God.
So in comparison, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I'll take 10 degrees over 30 below.
But it's given me a time to straighten up the studio and do a lot of scanning and things like that. So I'm not too concerned. Mailbag. We have quite a full mailbag. We're not going to be able to get through with all of our. We're not going to be able to get through all of our letters, but I'm going to just try the best as I can.
Okay.
First letter is from Paul Murphy in Dublin.
Ah, Dublin.
He says, "You recently gave away the plastic book to a guy in the UK who shoots on a Shmina 8M."
Spina?
The guy in the UK was Darren Pancho Riley, who won the book.
Yeah.
Oh.
He
Our
won the
good
book.
friend, our
Yes.
good musical friend.
Yes. I never heard of a Shmina. It sounds like, it sounded like one of your birds, John.
Well, my bird is Mina.
Oh, Shmina.
If she had a brother, maybe I would name him Shmina. That's a good idea.
The Flying Shmina Brothers.
Hello.
I also shoot on the Shmina and would like to tell you guys a little about it.
How do you spell Shmina?
SMENA 8M.
Where's it from?
Believe from, here we go. Here
Russia?
it says, "It is by far the best 35 millimeter camera I have. I prefer it to all my SLRs. It's a compact, manual-focused 35 millimeter camera from the original Lomo company. The Shmina cameras became somewhat contraband in the United States at the end of the 60s, as as a Shmina camera was found in the apartment of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Is that right?
Lee Harvey Oswald, yeah. And as it is a Russian camera, it was frowned upon.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I think I've seen some old photo magazines from the 60s with Lee Harvey actually doing an ad for Shmina. He's holding a rifle in one hand, and they're
Oh, dear.
Paul
Oh,
says
dear.
that Lomography.com is now selling this camera, but he says it's also available on eBay. So I'm not familiar with this camera, and I love cameras that you're not familiar with that you kind of find and kind of hold
Yeah.
and shoot with. So
Is it a rangefinder or
No.
It doesn't. You don't know?
the fact that Darren, I'm going to write to Pancho
Pancho.
and ask him what the score is on the camera. So we'll revisit the Shmina in
In a
the
later.
episodes to come.
And next month, perhaps.
Here's a letter from our good friend, Dave Lyon. Dave is in Utah, and he said, Dave wrote before, he's the
Yeah.
truck driver,
Right.
driving through Utah.
Laughing
and-
his butt off, listen to the photography
Exactly. We
podcast.
wanted to know if the kids were like,
Yeah.
He was telling us about Kodachrome Basin, right?
I think so. He says, I just want to say thanks for making me laugh as I drive down 2-lane road last month. When I heard you starting to read my letter, I started laughing and was glad it did not have any oncoming traffic.
Oh, dear.
To answer questions you asked, I do get kids I do get kids asking me to blow the air horn.
That's nice.
Yes. To answer Duane's question, if I can get down to color country, I would love to shoot. He says in Utah. He's saying basically that the roads I travel have limited access to color, meaning trees, and I'm planning sometime soon to go to the southern end of the state with his wife on vacation.
Which is the most
Yeah.
colorful part.
It's probably hard to pull over an 18-wheeler just to
Yeah, a lot of the
snap
roads.
some shots.
A lot of the roads in southern Utah that go to the scenic spots are light duty anyway. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't take a tractor trailer through there.
West Jordan is on the southwest side of Salt Lake Valley.
I get totally
I
confused
guess
with
you
what
asked.
you just
I
said.
guess we asked.
West
Where
Jordan.
is West Jordan, Utah?
Oh, yes, we did actually.
yeah.
That's near Salt Lake City.
So thank you.
Do you send a picture of his rig?
He sent some images.
Oh, he
of,
did.
some images he took from his rig.
May I see them? You showing? You doing the shot?
Yeah, I'll show them to you.
Oh,
These are some images that Dave Lyons.
Oh, look at that. Look
Took.
at that rock. It's crazy.
it's a hoodoo.
Nice.
That's technically called a hoodoo.
It looks like a
What, when
dinosaur.
when a rock hangs on top of another rock?
When you have something has a phallic sort of shape, it's actually geologically called a hoodoo.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That looks phallic to you?
What about the
I
classic?
guess to a geologist who spends his time,
I guess
look
for
at those
folks
rocks.
out there, when
yeah.
you think of Utah, I think of Roadrunner cartoons.
Yeah.
Because you have
desert.
the desert,
Straight desert.
rock, and then you have like a rock, and then on top of rock, you have a
Right.
huge rock just dangling on like a, what is that called?
Waiting for the coyote to come so
yeah.
it
It's
can
called
fall
a death
on him.
trap. No, a rock dangling on top of another rock?
Yeah.
I'm not quite envisioning what
know
you're
if there's a
Oh,
describing.
it's like
for that.
this.
That's the rock.
Look at that.
I would call that a hoodoo.
Oh, that's a hoodoo.
Yeah, there are a lot of formations in Utah, like Goblin Valley State Park and Bryce Canyon. Anytime you have like a vertical sort of formation,
Right.
they're generally called hoodoos. Hoodo.
Now, Duane, when you're shooting in the desert, are there areas that are like, not roped off, but like a sign that says, like, are you in danger?
Danger everywhere, Mike. Danger's my middle name. Moonshiners and tarantulas and rattlesnakes.
Watch out for a scorpion.
Watch out for them scorpions.
They're
What-
cute, but they'll kill you.
What do you mean? I'm sorry, rephrase the question.
When you're in the desert shooting, is there any danger out there?
lot
Like
of
of a
danger.
landslide?
One of the greatest dangers, oddly enough, in the desert, especially southern Utah, are flash floods. A lot of people like to photograph what are called slot canyons.
Okay.
And they're very, very narrow canyons in sandstone. They're very sinuous, and they're carved by water at times of flash floods. A lot of people go into these places not knowing that, oh, this thing's carved by water. It's a sunny day outside, but there's a thunderhead 100 miles away. And when that water comes roaring down, it has the force of a freight train. And every single year, people are killed doing that.
Wow.
You'd think they would die of dehydration. They'd be bitten by a rattlesnake. They'd fall. They're killed in slot canyons.
Killed by water in
Killed
the
by
in the desert.
Water in the desert.
It's very ironic.
Wow.
See that on the tombstone.
A lot of the pictures I've posted on Facebook are from Antelope Canyon on the Navajo Nation in Arizona. And A couple of weeks before I went there the last time, a local told me 14 people got killed in that canyon.
Wow.
In one day.
No kidding.
Because of flash floods?
A flash flood came roaring down, just took them out. They never even found them.
Wow.
This has taken a kind of morose turn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's
Well, you asked me
more
the
death
dangers
talk.
and-
Well, moving right along, here's a letter from our friend Brian Moore. Brian is a guest blogger on our blog site. If you go to our show notes,
Show notes, baby.
Conka-chung.
if you go to filmphotographypodcast.com, you'll see next to each episode says show notes, and that links you
Show
to,
notes, baby.
Show enough.
and that links you to our blog. So Brian's been writing some blogs for us. He sent a letter in saying, FPP listeners who may find themselves near the Southern California city of Riverside, he would recommend the California Museum of Photography. It's a delightful way to pass an hour or two. The place is run by the University of California at Riverside, and he heard about it from his daughter, who's in her second year of UC Riverside. And he just wanted us to know, like, hey, you know, there is a museum in Southern California called the California Museum of Photography.
Do they specialize in photographers that are indigenous to California, or is it just, what is its specialty? Does it have any kind of angle to it?
Don't know.
Gonna have to look it up.
You have to use the Google.
Google.
The Google.
Here's a letter from Joaquin.
Phoenix?
Joaquin is Joaquin is in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm 24, and funny enough, I got into film photography, by my iPhone.
Oh, stop it!
That is funny.
You're slaying me.
I had downloaded a couple of photo apps, but the one I used the most was a Lomo type app, and I loved the effect it gave.
Yeah, they're cool.
Eventually, I came to acquire a Minolta X7A and haven't looked back since. Collecting old cameras and using them has become sort of an addiction.
See, it's good. It's kind of a gateway.
You know,
the
it
iPhone
really
app is
is.
kind of a gateway into the real thing.
It really is.
All sarcasm aside, I think a lot of people are introduced, especially these days, to photography by using their phone, like you said.
Yeah.
And someone said, I was reading a couple of days ago, that within a couple of years, the quality that you will get from a cell phone or a small electronic device will be the equivalent of a mid-range digital SLR. The chips will get bigger, the resolution will get higher, the lenses will get sharper, and that'll be people's photography. They go on vacation and they're holding their phone and doing that. So film is kind of an esoteric thing. What is film? You know, they kind of want to investigate something else.
Especially all the apps, you know, all the textures it applies. People would kind of want to check it out for real.
Yeah.
This is, well, thank you, Joaquin. Here's a letter from Tim Vogan. Tim says, I grew up in Flint, Michigan, and now live in Portland, Oregon. I hear you speak of Blue Moon Camera a lot, and you are right. They're very nice folks. And that is true.
What makes them so
Just
nice?
a shout out. There's a really nice bunch of guys in Oregon. They have something called Blue Moon Camera and Machine. And they sort of are, you know, into everything old school, including their prints. When they print, they do them optically.
Oh, really?
Yes.
In other words, enlargers.
Correct. And they also... it's
Color, too?
Yes, I believe. I have to check. But it's called Blue Moon Camera and Machine, and they're also into typewriters.
Really?
Yeah, old-timey typewriters.
Now,
apparently
there's an analog area
Yeah.
that
apparently there's a cult.
needs to be picked up on.
There's a cult around old-time typewriters.
Huh.
Now, for those of you out there who are, I don't know, under 35, when I was in school, you used to use a
That's all you
typewriter.
had.
Smith Corona.
Yeah, you'd get a piece of paper, put it in. Remember the mistakes you'd make?
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
my God.
It's horrible.
It's just horrifying.
There's a great episode of the TV show Californication where David Duchovny's character is finishing his book and he's on a Smith Corona.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he refuses to use the word processor. It was
A few writers use like typewriters, type
Well,
scripts.
Hardcore people.
Yeah. But they'd had all sorts of tricks they developed, like electric typewriters that had a correct thing in it, where it would correct the whole sentence. It would go back. It would?
Oh, white it out.
Yeah, it would white out the whole sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the guy from the Monkees whose mother invented whiteout?
Michael Nesmith. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were rich. Now,
Rich.
no one uses whiteout anymore.
Yeah. Well, they sold it to Gillette.
Really?
Yes. The whiteout, they sold out, yeah. So,
Lucky them. Got out just in time before the market
Cashed out.
fell. What else you got, Mike?
I got a lot of stuff. Here's a good one. This is from Brian in Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, good day, mate.
That's a great idea.
I love your passion. You've inspired me to pick up analog.
Good.
Yeah, isn't that fantastic? I mean, it really is.
You're an inspiration, Mike.
That's amazing.
But he says, the whole toy camera movement has me laughing as well as crying. I'm 30 years old, and I remember the 110 toy camera and 120 Holgas in show bags from Royal Melbourne Show.
What are show bags?
Do Americans have show bags?
Is it a convention that you go to and they give you like a bag of goodies? Is that a show bag?
I don't know. We're going to look it up, Brian. We should have looked it up.
Sorry, we got to translate that.
Yeah.
Maybe he means like giving them out like at McDonald's or something.
No, I'm sure show bags are some kind of event. You know.
Isn't that what the
You guys out there know what a show bag is?
Yeah, it's what dancers have.
Here's a quick letter from Frank Wiley. I listened to your comments about 127 film and wanted to add a few things. A few shows ago, we talked about 127 film. Mm-hmm. Did you know that 127 film is 46 millimeters wide and that the film used in long roll portrait cameras, the kind that traveling studios used to use to shoot students,
No kidding.
like yearbook
Oh,
pictures,
yeah.
is the same width and can be purchased from Kodak in Portra emulsions? I did know that. You could go on eBay and you could buy a 100-foot roll of 46 millimeter film, which is the exact same size as 127 film. 127 film is a paper-backed roll film that's on a metal spool, and a lot of the old-timey Kodak cameras use 127 film. So if you have a kind of a thing for 127, or if you're on eBay and you happen to see a 127 camera and you're like, oh my God, I'd like to shoot with that,
Put it in your show bag.
you could actually buy an old roll of 127 film, just strip it so that the old film's gone, and then re-roll it yourself in a show bag. I mean, a darkroom bag.
Darkroom bag.
So.
So in other words, it's bulk loaded.
It is. Yes, it's bulk loaded. I'm going to put the letters down for a minute and get right into news because we have a lot of exciting news today.
Yay!
No. First of which is that Fujifilm just introduced a new instant film.
Ah, that is news.
They replaced, for 4x5 cameras, there was something that was called FP 100B 45, which was a black and white film that I'm sure, Duane, you maybe used.
I've never used it, no.
You used the Polaroid when it exists.
Yes, I
for your
did.
4x5 camera. So Fuji last year announced that they were going to discontinue their FP 100B, their 100-speed black and white film.
Boy, the flack they took for that.
They did. So now what they did is they already replaced it in the smaller format, the 3.5 by 4, I guess it is. And is it 3.5 by 4 or 2 in the smaller size? Mm-hmm. So now they introduced the 4x5 black and white film FP 3000B.
3,000?
Yes.
What does 3,000 mean? Is that a speed?
ASA.
So they have a film for
Yes.
4x5 cameras.
Yes.
That's instant, and its speed is 3,000.
Yes.
Is
that's
it
right.
black and white or color?
It says a black and white. Now officially available in North America, this 4x5 black and white instant film is for use in Polaroid 550 and Fujipack PA45 film back holders. I made several. This, by the way, this is from our good friend Tony Kwong.
Ah.
I made several inquiries to several distributors like Unique, Adorama, B&H. All of them just started getting stock beginning to mid-January. Freestyle mentioned they'd be getting their shipment in end of January as well.
Why would you rate a film ASA 3,000? First of all, it's just very ambiguous.
Well,
Usually films are, 50, 100, 200, 400, and 1,000, and 3,000.
I thought the same exact thing because I shoot the smaller format instant film for the pack cameras.
Okay.
And the pack cameras, the hard molded pack cameras, they have an ASA switch on them. And the switch they have on the front by the lens is 75 for the 100 speed film. And it switches over to 3,000.
Oh.
So,
Well, I guess at one time there was a 3,000 film that I never heard of.
yeah, so that's very strange. It's an excellent question, guys, and
I don't know that much about Polaroid or instant films in general, so maybe was a dumb question. But
Well, folks out there that are shooting, folks out there that are shooting with a real, not saying the pack cameras aren't real, but they have automatic. They don't have, they don't what I call a real piece of glass with an f-stop on it and selectable shutter speeds. So, Duane, if you got a back for a 4x5 camera, would you have to actually set your ASA at 3000 in order to use the film?
Well, you would expose that film the way you would expose any film. You would just meter according to the ASA of the film. So if it's a 3000 speed film, you'd set the ASA on your meter at 3000 and expose the film accordingly. But the thing of it is, I'm assuming, is it a professional film that would go in professional sized Polaroid backs to be used in the back of a view camera, something like that?
I'm assuming that it's for fun and for hobby because you can't. It's not 100
Yeah,
ASA,
no,
so you can't check it.
Right, there's no correlation in speed between that for the sake of proofing and the actual
Right.
film you would use it with, so it's got to be for something like fun.
For leisure.
It's a leisure film.
The big news this past month, in early January, of course, was the fact that Polaroid and their creative director, Lady Gaga,
That's so funny.
were going to announce their new products, and they announced in late 2010 that a new camera was going to be marketed, and everyone was trying to guess what this new camera was going to be.
My guess was it was going to be like the Hulk Hogan camera. Every picture would have a picture of Lady Gaga on it, imprinted every frame. No?
Well, Polaroid at the CES show, that's a Consumer Electronics show, made an announcement of this new camera. We were all sitting on the edge of our seats hoping that Polaroid would return to some type of film medium. Deep in our hearts, hoping it would be Polaroid 600 film.
And Lady Gaga will be here next show, won't she?
Yes.
She'll actually come here.
But unfortunately, it was all wishful thinking. I mean, Polaroid is going in a whole different direction. And as a matter of fact, the Polaroid announcer at the show said, "We're not thinking outside the box. We destroy the box."
Oh, jeez.
We're getting into typewriters. That's where the big money
Yeah,
is.
it sure is.
When he said that, I knew
It was
I'm like,
digital.
they are not going to support film. So
Yeah.
Lady Gaga announced 3 items, 3 new products. The first is a pair of sunglasses
Sunglasses?
that has a camera in it.
Are you kidding me?
No. And this is the GL20 camera glasses.
Apparently you can only see Lady Gaga in them.
Users
Maxwell Smart.
Users can capture or upload photographs and video directly to the sunglasses, display them in real time on the outside of the sunglasses.
And then crash your car while you're doing it.
Hey, you look good.
Look good.
Latest technology.
Hey, guys,
So wait a minute. These are basically like you wear glasses with images on them for other people to see.
Correct. Well, their design,
cool
I
you
think,
are.
I think that Gaga has basically designed these for the fact that kids who go to clubs or go to see like her concerts can take pictures through their glasses or video.
Because it's just so much work to do this. Oh God, I'm spent now. I have to
So-
just do this.
She announced the glasses, which most, I think, photographers are not. I mean, it's a very trendy item probably for kids. She also announced the camera, which everyone was sitting on the edge of their seat.
How much does this go for? Do you know what's the retail on
I
that?
don't know the retail. The GL30.
That's this thing.
The GL30 instant digital camera combines a digital camera with the instant photo printing of Polaroid.
That's kind of cool.
Yes, it is kind of
Yeah,
cool.
that's nice.
Images are recorded digitally and then selected as desired for instant photo printing directly through the device. The camera can stand vertically to permit easy scrolling and display of captured images.
So you take your digital camera, you hook up it to this device, and it prints out the images you've taken.
Correct. On what's known as Zinc zero ink technology.
Really?
Yes.
Have you seen any of them yet or not?
I only saw
Zinc, zero ink. What do they use to print it out with?
the photo paper is embedded with dye crystals that are activated during printing by heat.
By Lady Gaga herself.
She has to pass her hand over it.
The process requires no ink or inkjet cartridges, and the resulting images are tear resistant, smudge proof, and water resistant.
That's pretty crazy.
Each paper
That's wild, wacky stuff.
Each cartridge prints 10 prints and the printer prints 40 photos on a single charge. The third item is a mobile printer that you could put in your purse, John.
Great. Been waiting for this.
And these are Bluetooth items. The mobile printer is Bluetooth.
Oh, that's interesting.
These products, John, are known as gray label products.
But, these are all just, really complicated ways of getting instant images, don't you think? Like the Polaroid, you just push the button and it comes out and you're like, hey, I
Well,
got
they're
my
not
picture.
abandoning that entirely, are they?
But now it's like you push a picture, you push a button, and you got to send it through your Bluetooth to print it out. It's like, what do you need to carry around 3 devices for?
Well,
It's a way to make money.
You have one big black piece of plastic
here's
instead.
John, you're not exploding and destroying the box.
I know, I'm living inside the box.
Generally, in a nutshell, gentlemen,
Mm-hmm.
Polaroid has abandoned traditional film
Yes.
technology, and going in the direction of zinc technology. So
Yeah.
this announcement has finally put the last nail in the coffin that Polaroid is not returning to film.
We don't need them.
And many people thought that they were going to partner with Fujifilm.
Can't they just sell the formula? Why do they got to be so stingy?
Their Polaroid 300 camera is a repainted Fuji camera, and the film for the Polaroid 300, although it says Polaroid 300 film, is made by Fuji.
So you're saying the days of picking up a plastic camera, putting it to your face, depressing a button, and spitting out an instant print are over with?
No. Fujifilm supports it.
Okay.
But
But from Polaroid.
from Polaroid.
That's done. That's officially done.
As of right now, it's officially done. I think if people could take to the streets,
Taking it to the streets.
a lot of people, a lot of film photographers especially all the people that have been shooting instant photography, that have rallied behind Impossible Project, are saddened, very disappointed. It's disappointing news that Polaroid, and they were the press announcement was also like, we're crushing, they want to move forward,
Yeah, no doubt.
which isn't a bad thing.
Well, it's got to be good for the impossible people, though.
I think it's good for the impossible
Yeah,
people.
why would
I
it
think
be bad?
I think the impossible people should develop their own
Absolutely.
camera, their impossible camera.
We only like to do things that are impossible.
Yes.
If it is impossible, we will do it.
We will make a car that takes photos as big as a building.
I have some
And you
bad
will wear
news.
these glasses also. You'll have a car on your face.
It will be closing.
But
That is closing.
John, I will like to tell you that as
Yes?
of right now, that their Bluetooth technology does not work with Apple products.
Really?
That's a big mistake.
So
Well, because they
They're gonna-
probably got to pay Apple big
they,
bucks.
they're going to. I would guess that they're going to resolve the problem with Apple, so that by the end of the year, when they introduce these products, like the portable printer,
Right.
let's say you're at a party and you have your iPhone, and
Yeah.
and your mother-in-law comes over,
Yes.
and you want to just print a few things for her, like, oh, check out the kids.
I just email
You know.
them to her. She can print them out at home.
You'd be able to take the Polaroid printer out of your purse, John,
Yeah.
and you would be able to, from Bluetooth, from your iPhone, print it right out.
It's a fascinating idea, but it sounds just like,
I don't think it's as
it
complicated
sounds
as...
too much. It sounds like something, it's like, who needs to carry that around with them now?
I don't think it's as complicated as you think, John.
It's like print things out later. What do you got to have instant gratification for? It's like the film instant gratification is unique because it's film and it's like big and it's bulky and it looks like film, You don't need digital photos at your fingertips. I don't think, anyways.
anyone
Print 'em
out
out later.
Anyone that's been listening to the show knows that we are on Flickr.com in a group called the Film Photography Podcast. And Flickr.com is a site that's managed by Yahoo, and it allows you to join for free, and you could post your images, and then you could join groups. So let's say you like shooting with your Canon AE1. You could search groups, find a Canon AE1 group, and find other like-minded photographers who are shooting with the same camera you're using, the same film stock. It's really a huge resource. For
You pick up some tips.
pick up
you
some
give
tips.
some tips.
You see lots of great images.
You can get together.
Now,
You can have a barbecue.
on the Film Photography Podcast group, we're doing what's known as this is our second, by the way, our second print exchange. Yes. And our print exchange is run by FPP listener Michael Kalea.
And we met Michael Kalea
We did.
at the PDN, the Photo District News trade show in New York City this past November.
Yes, we did. And Michael ran a tight ship last time, and he suggested we do it again. And you may say, what is it?
Mike,
Yes.
what is it?
Well, you go to Flickr.com, go to the Film Photography Podcast group.
I'm good.
You think so?
It was slipping.
And after sign up,
I fixed it.
after signing up, you go into the thread that says Print Exchange number 2, and you just leave a message that says I'm in. And then once you're in,
Can we enter it as well?
I'm in.
Can we enter it as well?
Yes.
Okay. I'm in. What's your problem?
Now what happens is Michael will do like a jambata,
A jambata.
and he'll randomly select someone for you to send a print to, and vice versa.
These have to be prints that were produced in the traditional film medium, correct?
What's considered a print? Prints can be any analog photograph format, instant photography included, but can be printed photographically or digitally from a scanned file.
That was my question.
There's no size limit. Pick your size that best fits your budget and image.
Can I make like a 4x5 foot mural print?
No.
No.
You just need to send it. You don't need to mat it or frame it.
Oh.
So if anyone out there listening is interested in getting involved with a print exchange, you may want to know that the last day to sign up is February 17th, 2011. Pretty cool, huh?
What would you like Mike to do?
It's very good.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you're moving out. You're sliding out.
Sliding out.
Got to think
Slip
of the video
sliding
mindset now.
away. Slip sliding away.
Gentlemen,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
now time to talk about our contest.
Gentlemen's? Did you say gentlemen's?
We have three items to give away.
What do we, oh, this is great. This is my favorite part. That's why I get out of bed for this.
Really?
Yeah. It's exciting, don't you think, to give stuff away?
We're giving away is we have a Fuji Instax 200 instant camera. And I'm really excited about this. This is a fantastico camera.
Mm-hmm. Fantastico.
And Duane, this is the answer to your question about instant photography. Fujifilm is very much into instant photography these days.
Instax 200 instant camera from Fujifilm.
And then it produces a wide picture.
Super wide.
Yes.
6x9.
And this is from our friend Tony Kwong.
Thank you, Tony.
He donated this.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's so
right.
nice of him,
I
really.
remember.
It really is. And we opened this before, and as we saw, it's brand new.
Yeah.
The batteries aren't even cracked.
Pristine.
Yeah, pristine. So that was very cool.
So let's give it away.
Going to give it away.
Give it away.
Give it away, give it away, give it
So
away,
now
give
how
it
are we gonna
away
do
now.
this? How are we
Well,
gonna
I
do it?
didn't crunch up them and spend hours putting all of our
This is what you should do.
No, I'm
this-
going to fan them out.
Oh, I was going to say you should throw it up in the air.
No.
And whatever lands on the table next to you, that's the winner.
That's a great idea.
Come
but-
on, it's a visual format now.
No.
Come on. All right, how about we light them
Okay.
on fire, the last name that we could
Who's
read.
going to pick?
before-
You pick this one.
You pick this one.
Now, what are you going to do, John?
I wanna
is
throw 'em up
you're
in the
gonna
air.
Close your... No, please. Who's going to
So
clean it up?
boring.
Can you...
Don't clean it up.
Yeah,
You can't
Joe.
fan through them.
I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and like paint a nice picture in your brain. And then
Okay.
you're going to thumb through these like with your finger and caress and feel the paper.
Okay.
And then pick a winner.
How long do I have? Because this may take a while.
Oh, yeah.
John has
When
some.
I eat a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation. Oh.
Oh, wait, that's not
It
it.
actually feels good on my end, too, because like he's pushing the paper and it's
Okay,
like...
wait, here we go. This is what feels good. You read it.
Oh.
This is an episode of MTV Skins.
The winner is David Mahaley.
Macaulay.
Yes.
Hello.
After a... Yes.
Where's he from?
Westerville, Ohio.
All right.
Westerville, Ohio. Really?
Yep. After a Ute spend dabbling in 126 and 110 film, I was brought back to film photography by the Lomo hype in late 2000s.
Lomo hype.
The LCA became my main shooter for a few years, but I also played around with some toy cameras in medium format.
And things got really, really bad.
After flings with some thrift store fake panoramic 35 cameras, I found myself drawn into something a little more dependable. A friend gave me an Olympus OM2, and I've been an Olympus junkie ever since. I love the Trip 35, and lots of other cameras. My true love is Polaroid, and that's why I'd like to get back into shooting instant film. I appreciate all you do and support you fellow film heads. Thank you, John. That's it. Very good.
Great.
That's excellent.
David, awesome.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Actually, it looks like it could be fun. See, that would be fun at parties,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. Very fun at parties.
Is it my turn to pick one?
Yes. Now we're now picking two winners, which is known as our AGFA film giveaway.
Oh, right.
If you recall, we're giving away 3 rolls of film to 2 lucky winners.
That's right.
3 rolls apiece.
APX
We're gonna have to
100,
fight over the one and split it. And
no,
cut it.
APX 25, 100, and 400.
APX 25. Oh,
So
it's
a
great. It's
lot of
amazing.
people were excited about this.
Oh, my God.
APX 25. Oh.
So Duane's going to pick 2 winners for the
How come he gets 2?
AGFA film.
It's very exciting. For those of you watching, you can. The excitement is palpable.
There's one.
Okay.
Let me see. Wow.
This one.
Okay. We have picked 2 winners. John, what do you got?
Good luck pronouncing that, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a listener from Madrid, Spain.
Alvaro Munoz Acunes Martinez.
Hi.
I went back to shooting film 3 years ago. Now I mostly do medium format 6x6. The truth is, I shoot almost anything, but a big part of my work is looking for curious and forgotten places to shoot.
I'm heading to New Jersey next month.
Alvaro in Madrid, Spain, congratulations.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, there's some fun things
Who else
for
we
him
got
to
Duane?
do.
Our next winner is Mr. Andrew Delahunte. Hi, chaps. As usual, an excellent podcast for New Year. Hope 2011 is a good one for you photographically and personally, too. I'd love the opportunity to win some of AGFA film. It really is proper nice stuff and deserves a good home, like mine. With a little smiley. He added a smiley.
He's from the UK.
I'm an archaeologist by profession
Wow, interesting.
and recently came back to photography as a hobby after getting utterly disillusioned with having to use digital all the time for work. Then I picked up my Zenit E that I learnt photography on about 15 years ago and rediscovered the joy of it all again. I know, took a crappy Soviet camera to get me hooked again. My favorite thing is to use a Lubitel 2, which has a slightly slow shutter and a propensity for flare at the top, but I love it with a passion, with a blinding, burning passion that burns like a blinding candle. I didn't say that. I now use it at work taking extra shots after using the digital kit, and the images have more soul than anything taken with a 2,000 quid Nikon DSLR.
There you go. He just said it. Soul. He
Got
just
some
said
soul.
it. That's it, man.
Other
See?
than that, I have a thing for Praktica and Zenit cameras and still believe that the minuscule and super slow Industar 50-2 on a Praktica MTL 5B is one of the nicest combos you could ever use. Get one today. Keep up the good work, blimey.
Cheers.
And that was Mr. Andrew Delahunte. Thank you for entering the
There you
contest.
go.
Great.
Gotta fix your mic.
Oh. You got none of that, huh?
Up.
No, I got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's better if you loosen it and then,
He's pulling an Ebling.
like,
Yeah. Your puffy is.
oh, you gotta
You
loosen
put the
it.
puffer on. There you go. Yeah.
Where are you going? And that's it. Good night, folks.
Oh, is it blocking my face?
That's good.
That was kind of drooping.
Oh.
It happens.
Okay. Wow.
So that was great. They're going across the pond, as
Yes,
they
they
say.
are. Fantastic.
International shipping.
The next one is the big one, guys. We're giving away what started out as a rather small contest. Our friend listener He Sue sent us a Seroflex 120 TLR camera with Rodinal equivalent developer and film.
That's right. I remember that.
And what happened was, then another listener wrote to me and said, well, Keith Derrickson then wrote to us and said, well, I have some stuff that maybe will, help, like some beakers and
Oh, really?
yes.
Some lab accoutrement.
yes. And then another listener, Ron O'Connor, said, I have a thermometer and some Paco film clips.
Wow.
And then,
So this package is growing.
yes, and then I sent a note to our friends at Freestyle.
And said, hook me up.
I said, Freestyle.
Yeah.
I said, we're giving away all of this stuff. So this is what we have.
We'll slide it on down.
The Ciroflex 120 TLR.
Check.
One roll of Fuji. One roll Fujifilm Neopan 100.
Check.
One roll Fomapan 100 Classic.
Check.
One roll Fomapan 400 Action.
Check. Oh, check.
One roll Arista Ultra 400.
Check.
Ultra
Wow.
check.
A vintage home development tank.
Check.
Rodinal equivalent developer.
Couldn't be better.
Check.
Arista indicator stop bath.
Check.
Arista universal fixer.
Check.
Arista hypo wash.
Check.
Arista flow wetting agent.
Oh, my goodness. Check.
Vintage measuring cups beakers.
Wow. Check.
Vintage thermometer.
Keep it
Check.
coming.
Paco film clips.
Oh, my goodness.
It's crazy, huh?
I say you don't need hypo wash for film, but there are people that disagree with me.
Well, it's in there if they want to use it. The lucky winner.
Wow, dude, you're gonna have to drive a truck up to the person's house that wins
Now,
this.
the beautiful thing is,
That I don't know where I put it all.
We can't find it.
Hey, did you ever find that stuff?
oh, John, I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah.
Do you know that we found the Kiev 6C
Right.
Where was it, Mike?
and the Vivitar PN 2011?
Where?
When we were setting up the studio, we were moving a lot of things around, and in the back storage room, there was what I normally would call a pile of shit.
Yeah.
Just a pile of stuff, like a box on top of a box on top of a box with like a blanket over it and then like a coat over it. In a
Wow.
corner
So it was thoroughly concealed.
behind the door. So
Forget it.
it
That's
was
forgotten.
it
That's
was
a place that one listener would like to shoot.
So
from
I was
Madrid, Spain.
So I was
Forgotten place.
cleaning, and I found the box, and it was like, oh my god, it's the.
Did you? I bet you actually gasped.
I did.
I think you did.
So we found the Kiev 6C. If you are a listener of the podcast, you will know that it went missing. We thought it was connected to maybe the
Dingo taking it.
the Polaroid talking camera with the ghost. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird stuff going on in the studio. It was around Christmas time. We thought maybe it was Scrooge related with like some Christmas past ghosts or something. We didn't know exactly what it was. But our new contest, which is known as the Ciroflex and Black and White Home Development Kit,
What's in that kit again, Mike?
no. Look at the amount of
In
entries we
Spanish?
have.
Wow, that's
Look-
a lot.
Here, hold this.
It's,
Check it out.
It's tick.
Look at that.
Look at that. Let's both hold
Let me see.
it.
That's 100 entries.
Yeah.
100 entries.
A lot of entries here.
Thank you,
Here,
Rain Man.
check out. Look at that. Oh my God.
That's a lot of people
Fantastic.
who want this tasty
Yes.
treat.
And we have one winner out of this. So how do you want to pick it? Do you want me to just fan it and you guys just pick one?
I'll stick. You fan it. I'll stick my finger in.
Okay.
Wherever my finger sticks, that's the
Alright.
guy
Here we go.
or girl. Wait, that was very uncinematic. Come on, get it going nice.
Alright.
Take that paper clip off there.
Why aren't you doing the scrunchy thing?
This takes hours.
It's
Ready? Here we go.
Yep.
I'm gonna close my eyes too.
do it fast. Ah, that was a good one.
Oh!
Who is it?
Who is it?
Who's the winner, Mike?
The winner of the Ciroflex 120 TLR and Home Development Kit is none other than Joe Labrandi Cowan.
Oh my God!
From-
JLC.
JLC from Auburn, New York.
Wow. Yeah, maybe he can come down here and pick it
Yeah,
up.
really.
There's a lot of stuff.
I'm a 19-year-old college student in upstate New York and currently studying photography.
That's great. We're giving it to a
Wow,
student.
that's really cool.
2 years ago, I started developing film in my bathroom. Actually, I just finished developing some, which reminds me to send this email. I shoot almost only film, most of which I develop myself.
Wow, cool.
so-
Well, this is finding a perfect home.
It is finding a perfect home.
Well, what? That was very.
Finding a perfect
home.
Where
Yeah,
else
but-
is it going to go?
Well, send them a brisket too.
Developing
Yeah, why
my
not?
Developing my own film has made me feel closer to my work. Just the time and patience needed really makes me focus on my initial ideas, composition, etc. In this fast-paced world, where kids my age are used to having everything instantly,
Everything handed to them on a silver platter.
Yeah.
it's nice to wait for something and be proud of what you produce.
There you go.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm
Joe-
very, very glad that we gave it to a student.
Yes.
I was hoping that.
Two very prophetic statements. The soul of a photo and someone waiting to see the results of what he has done, what he has crafted, but with his own hands. That's what we're here for, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Isn't it, guys? Hug, group hug. No.
Thank you, Father John.
I want to thank everyone who sent in all that all the entries.
That's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
a
entries.
lot.
We have a lot of entries. This was a very popular contest, and we'll do our best to do something, similar to it. Maybe.
See, the
down-
developing is a big hit,
developing is a huge hit.
and that's what everybody wants to hear about.
Mind that.
All right, what other exciting things can we talk about? We talk about Lady Gaga. We're giving stuff away.
Let's talk about our new contests.
Okay.
Fine.
By the way, anyone can reach us at filmphotographypodcast@gmail.com,
Cam.
or people who want to write a traditional letter or send things in. You could send it to P.O. Box 152, Butler, New Jersey, 07405, USA.
Do you get a lot of letters by mail?
One or two.
Get a lot of marriage proposals, Mike?
No, not yet. We'll be right back, right after this quick message.
That's very nice, thank you. I can't smile, everybody, please, smile. Waste of time if you haven't taken a light, really.
It's all right. This Olympus is completely automatic. It works out the light, and you just click the shutter.
Ah, it's okay for snaps, but just you try and enlarge them. You see, the trouble with these small cameras is the lens.
No problem. There's a Seiko lens. They use it on the Olympus OM1, one of the best cameras in the world.
Well, I suppose they're all right for you boys, but you wouldn't get a professional using one.
Do you know who that is?
Who?
David Bailey.
David Bailey? Who's he?
The Olympus Trip. So simple, anyone can use it.
Hey, we're back. There's a huge following behind the Olympus Trip 35. It's a fantastic camera. Comes in a beautiful real leather case, not
Real
leatherette.
leather.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Wow. That is really
Look at that.
nice.
That's
It
a
has,
solid looking camera.
This camera has a selenium light meter. This camera
No
was
batteries.
No batteries. This camera's famous because no batteries. This was the camera that you grab and go. The Olympus Trip 35. You just grab it and go. Selenium light meter right here. In the auto mode, or as I call it, auto. It just selects the f-stop and shutter speed itself. It has two shutter speeds, 1/40th of a second, and I believe 1/200th of a second. And you could switch it to manual,
Or as I like to call it, Manuel.
f2.8 to f22, and when you put it in manual mode, you are at 1/40th of a second. You can also snap a flash on top. It has what's known as a hot shoe,
Very hot shoe today.
and I'm in love with this camera. This is a
know.
lovely, lovely camera, and
It's in
May I
pristine
see it,
condition.
Mike?
oh yes,
Are you giving away a flash too?
we're not. Oh yes, and this comes with
Uh,
this comes with a Auto 14 Sun Pack flash. So
Does that itself have a
it comes with-
selenium
no,
light? No? Okay.
no. The
Wouldn't that be great? Flash that didn't need batteries?
Yes. Well, the selenium light meter, the selenium pods somehow sense the light, and it's amazing, isn't it,
Yeah,
Duane?
it's
When you think
crazy.
about it,
It is
it's
amazing.
amazing. The fact that
Amazing.
the fact that you don't need batteries.
There were many, many light meters, and I still have one that are selenium light meters that simply don't need batteries. They go back to the 1960s, and they still work to this very day.
Right. I love cameras that don't need batteries, and I think a lot of folks out there, it blows their mind when you tell them that you have a camera that does not need batteries. So
It's one of a kind.
now to win the Olympus Trip 35, all you need to do is send us an email at filmphotographypodcast@gmail.com. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We need your name and mailing address. And next month, on the March 1st show, we're going to pick a winner.
Can't wait.
Fantastico.
I can't wait to see the pile. If you guys are listening and really interested in a unique camera, you got to get into this one.
What, the Olympus Trip 35?
Yeah. Should be a ton of entries for this one.
This is the camera to have.
A Holga?
Oh, yeah. Check it out. Check it out.
Look at that one. That's a big one.
This is the traditional Holga 120N
Look
camera.
at that. Nice.
This is from FPP listener Jason. He has quite a few cameras, and he decided that he wanted to donate this to the show.
Awesome.
This is, in my opinion, the Holga to have. It's very versatile in the sense that it has a hot shoe, baby, right on top to put your own
Yes.
flash. And, I've used the Holga, the 120N, and I've used the 120N FN that has a flash built in. And quite frankly, I prefer the hot shoe because the flash built in doesn't give you as many options. Last time on the podcast, we talked about putting a little slave cube on top that had a PC adapter on the side.
Yes.
That would allow you to, let's say, put the cube, and then you have a flash with a PC adapter off to the side so you could vary your light and flash from underneath to create like spooky images from the side for dramatic.
Holga spooky.
Yes, from backlight, you could backlight someone if you don't want to see their face.
Yeah.
A
A lot of people backlight you, don't they, Mike?
Yes.
They photograph you.
Jason also included a roll of Tri-X400 film
Nice.
right here, and pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That's a nice package.
Yeah, nice package. You could win this by sending an email to filmphotographypodcast@gmail.com.
Yo.
Just send us your name, your mailing address, and tell us a little bit about you and your film photography. I should note that if you want to enter more than one contest, that is fine, but just send a separate email for each entry. And then in the header, just put the giveaway name, like Holga 120N.
And we'll be right back.
Αν θα οδηγήσεις, ποιες? Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown, αυθεντικός καφές.
Okay, we're back. And, I've been hearing about Diana camera now for like well over a year. Diana this, Diana that, Diana. And I always wondered what it was. I found out it was a toy, a plastic camera. And finally, my curiosity was piqued enough that I went on eBay.com and I bought a vintage Diana camera. I'm going to have to assume that this camera is from the 1960s, based upon the various
Crazy images.
Yeah, this looks like a 60s vibe to you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah, maybe even 50s.
Could be.
Whoa.
So I did my research on this camera, unlike the other camera, the Trip. Because I was really curious what the score was with this camera. Where did
What
it
is
come
the score
from?
with this thing, man?
Because you hear everything you hear now is Holga, 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 Holga.
Yeah.
But the Diana has a little cult following of its own, and these cameras are not cheap. These are basically giveaway plastic cameras. But now you can't
You find them in show bags, right?
You're lucky if you could find a camera like this for under $30 US. Now, according to the Wikipedia, the first Diana appeared during the early 1960s as an inexpensive box camera sold by the Great Wall Plastic Factory in Kowloon, Hong Kong. Most were exported to the United States and the UK. And the Diana was imported by the Power Sales Company of Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. During the 60s, these were wholesaled, 144 cameras at about 50 cents US per unit,
God.
and they were used as giveaway items.
What, like corporate giveaway items?
Yeah, I think they were just in like Christmas gifts, junk, like dollar stores.
They didn't have dollar stores back then. It was a 5 and dime.
Thank you, John.
Walmart's, Dollar
Thank you, John.
Trees, Target.
Oh, I'm glad you asked, John, because it says most Diana cameras were given away or sold for nominal sums as novelty, prizes at fairs, carnivals, product promotions, raffles, or other events. For a time, the camera was also regularly advertised for sale in various periodicals through mail order vendors.
So you win that at a carny.
Yes.
You pop a balloon.
It's not going to surprise you guys that over time,
Come over here and get your camera.
the development of inexpensive, higher quality consumer cameras, such as the Kodak Instamatics, together with the declining popularity of roll film, the demand for the Diana, even as a novelty, began to disappear.
Oh.
Yep. Production of the Diana, its clones, close copies, and variants is believed to have stopped in the 1970s. And then that was that. So I did some further research because I was in a bit of a conundrum. I know that there are new Dianas out. So I said, well, wait a minute. If these Dianas are ended in the 1970s, then how is it I still see Dianas popping up all over the place? So what to do, Duane?
Yeah, how is it?
What to do, Mike?
Pick
What
up
is
the
it?
phone, and I called Laura Nealon at lomography.com.
You actually called her up on the phone.
Well, I called Lomography store in New York City, and I didn't know who to talk to, so I got to a directory. It's like, to hear the directory, press 1. So I pressed the employee directory, and Laura Nealon was in the directory. And it was great, because I'm like, oh,
There you go.
I know her.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, I got some Diana questions. What you doing?
Exactly.
Hey, I got a couple Diana quick Diana questions for you.
Exactly. I was like, Laura, this is Michael Raso. We met at the PDN. Do you remember? She's like, yes, I do.
Quit stalking me.
I told you to stop calling me here.
In 2007, the Lomography.com, the Lomography Society, started making Dianas again.
They actually started physically making them.
Yes.
They didn't refurbish old ones. They actually made
They
new ones.
make brand new Dianas.
Really?
Yeah. It's called the Diana Plus or the Diana F Plus. Some of them have like a two-pronged flash that takes AA batteries. That's pretty cool, huh? So we're talking on the phone, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be talking about the Diana. By the way, this is my Diana. I bought this on eBay.com. It's cost me 30 US, by the way, which is not cheap for what this is. Would you guys like to
for
hold
a plastic camera.
it? It's
light as
loaded,
a
so
balloon.
don't,
It's very light.
yeah.
Plastic.
So I said to Laura, I'm like, Laura, would it be possible for you guys to send a Diana over for us to give away? And she said, yeah. So we are giving away a Diana Plus. The Diana, by the way, takes 120 film. For those of you who don't know what 120 film is, I always assume, and then I should never assume, because, not everyone knows what roll film is. This is what it looks like. Roll film is on a plastic core, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Roll film. And this is, by the way, my test film that I use. And if you unroll it, you'll see that it's paper-backed. When I talk about paper-backed film, literally the film is paper-backed. And if you unroll it, you eventually get to, there it is. There's the film.
You've wasted a perfectly good roll of film.
No,
Mike.
this was already exposed. Now, on the back of the paper, it's paper-backed because here's all the numbers that you see when you shoot and you line up the film in your camera. And one of these numbers will line up in one of your windows on the back of your camera. A lot of people are confused about roll film because they'll say, well, I don't understand, Mike, because, one camera you get 12 exposures, and yet this other camera I get 8 exposures.
Yeah, why is that?
It has nothing to do with the film. It has to do with the
With the design of the camera.
design of the camera.
Some cameras produce 6 by 4.5 centimeter images
Right.
too. They're called 645
Right.
cameras. So it is dependent upon the design of the camera, nothing to do with the film.
Right. And since it shoots more film, you'll get 8 exposures per roll rather than 12 because it's shooting a bigger piece.
Have you heard of panoramic cameras that take 120 roll film?
No kidding.
There are 6 by 17 cameras, Mike.
How many exposures per roll?
Oh gosh, let's say a 120 would be 10 exposures of 6x6, that would be approximately 60 centimeters. So what's 17 into 6?
John?
17 into 6?
Jeff?
60.
Oh,
60.
3 point something.
So you probably get
3.
3 exposures, yeah.
That's why the numbers on the back are all, what was a good word, John?
For guideline purposes only.
Yeah. The numbers are all over the place. That's because, depending on what camera you're using, the red window on the back of your camera is going to be in a different spot based upon...
I got a good one.
Yes.
They're for guesstimating only.
Okay.
I don't understand what that means.
It
No.
means nothing.
Yeah, so that's why, the Diana, this is my first roll in the Diana, by the way. I believe the Diana gives you 12 exposures, and that's why the window's down there. Cameras that will give you, let's say, 8 exposures, the window will be up here. And that,
For pro level end cameras, though, and I've had 2 and 120, I've had a Pentax 6x7 and a Mamiya RZ67 Pro 2, there wasn't even a window.
really?
No, you
jip.
just loaded it till an arrow reached a certain point. You closed the back, and you shot knowing that you were going to get 10 or 12 exposures respectively. You didn't have to bother counting.
Wow.
So I think the window that you're speaking of is a vestige of older design cameras or perhaps toy level cameras.
Okay. Now, when I
I
get
think it's a counter too on better cameras.
Yes, they
There's
have a counter on the side.
So you don't really need that.
Now, when I get a new camera in the mail from eBay.com, the first thing I want to know, especially with a camera that doesn't have a traditional lens, is what is the f-stops available and what is the shutter speed? And thank goodness for the internet, because these days you can find most information on the internet. The Holgas, by the way, I was pleasantly surprised and happy that Holgas that you buy come with a sheet that actually tells you what the shutter speeds are and about what the f-stops are on your lens. With this particular Diana, I found on the internet that it's 1/45th of a second fixed shutter. I always do like a little cheat sheet for myself. I always do like a little piece of tape. Because, I got so many, I have so many cameras that, you grab a camera to go, you kind of just want to know what the shutter speed is. Yeah. I do, at least. So 1/45th of a second, I wrote it on the back of the camera on a piece of removable tape. And it turns out that, very much like the Holgas, the Diana has 3 choices of f-stop. You have f8, f11, or f16. And those are chosen on the front. And by the way, these f-stops, there are various opinions on the web of what the f-stops actually are, because it's a plastic camera. It's
There's a technical definition of what an f-stop is. Why wouldn't this camera?
There are different opinions on whether it's f8, f11, f16, or f11, f16, f22. But to get to your f-stops, on the bottom you have a little lever, and you have a cloud with sun behind it, and a sun. And you could just switch this. And what it does is it puts a little...
Takes all the guesswork out of it. Is the sun out? Put it
puts,
on the sun.
It puts a little mask in your lens that, so less light can get in.
Interesting.
And you have a choice of either shooting a picture, at 1/45th of a second, or putting it on B for bulb, and that will leave your shutter open if you want to do a time exposure or something, fancy schmancy.
Right.
Now, when this is definitely not a spy camera, because if you want to take a picture of someone and then go ahead to your next frame.
A bit loud.
It's a bit on the loud side. I'm going to take a picture of, let's see, John and Duane are about, 4 to 6 feet from me. All right, you guys, 1, 2, 3. Very nice. You could also, what I've done in the past to have some fun with it, let's say you're indoors and you want to take a picture indoors with your Diana or Holga, you put it on B for bulb, and you just have like a flash. There's no hot shoe here, so you just take your flash and you put it on B for bulb, and you keep your shutter open and you flash.
Ah, look at that.
Yeah, and that'll expose your frame, and make some funky stuff in the background too, if there's some lamps or stuff in the background. So
Some blurring.
yeah, it's kind of a way to have fun.
There are
cameras?
photographers that actually make a career
Well,
out of
that's.
doing fine art photography with these cameras.
But do you think there are people out there that are, like look at these toy cameras like, never?
Yes.
They used to, well, I think they used to, but it's actually become such a fad and very, very popular as of the past couple of years that maybe they don't look at them with such scorn anymore.
There are some guys out there like, never!
Never. I would. I mean, I personally don't care to use them because I'm like a sharpness freak.
Right.
You know.
You would never just break that out just for the heck of it.
I would say I'm inclined not to. No.
What about the
I
fact that
would
you
prefer
own?
not
What
to.
about the fact that you own a Holga now?
That is true, courtesy of Mike.
Yes.
I've not used it yet.
Oh, you should get out there and shoot.
When it's warmer, I think I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should take a trip to the city
Yeah.
That would be
with,
nice.
with my view camera.
Yes.
We'll do some really cool shots, maybe of the Brooklyn Bridge. I found a great spot, a tremendous spot in Brooklyn, where these old railway, I guess what would you call them, rails for railway?
Rails.
They're embedded in the cobblestones, and they go into the distance where the Brooklyn Bridge is right behind it.
Oh, nice.
Maybe go there, shoot some 4x5 stuff, and take the Holga and do some snaps of us doing stuff. We should all make a trip.
Some
out there.
monkeys type silliness.
Yes.
Like, hey, we're the monkeys.
Oh, like the FPP guys, like, hey, we're the monkeys.
Yeah, why not?
Jeff, you'd be down for that?
As long as I get to be Peter Tork, I'm happy.
Okay. So,
My friend Richard Zuccarelli tried out for the New Monkeys.
Did you really?
Did I ever tell that story?
no.
Oh, jeez.
Uh,
That was a
this must have been
horrible
about 15 or 20
idea.
years ago.
Yes,
There's
I
an
remember
idea for
that.
the New Monkeys.
Yes.
There was an open audition in New York City. My friend Richard, whom you know, he was in a couple of your films. A very small
I know
part.
Richard, yes.
He decided that he was going to be the Davy Jones part.
He's qualified.
And he said to me, Duane, I need a lackey to look like professional. Would you please just carry my bass, and I'll give you. He gave me, I don't know, he bought me lunch or something like that. And I said, okay, I'll carry your bass. And then he was downright abusive. He was just like, okay, now I need you to go get iced tea and a Big Mac and make these phone calls for me. And I said, excuse me, what am I, your butler? Just do it. Just do it. And there's a whole crowd of people, and they go, oh, man, I'm going to be in the New Monkeys, man. All these people thought they were going to be in the New Monkeys, including my friend. And it was a scam.
Oh,
It was a complete
they
scam.
did broadcast the show, the New Monkeys. They did make the show.
Yeah,
not- it was
but the
not a hit.
audition was a scam.
Oh, they were
Oh,
already
really?
picked?
Yes, it was a publicity stunt to get people to come in so the media would cover it, giving the impression that the auditions were legit.
Oh, I see.
They already had the New Monkeys picked?
I think it was already lined up or at a later date.
A little background.
Yeah.
And
Little
what
shell
happened
game
was,
going on there.
in
Yeah.
1986, MTV ran a Monkeys Marathon, and it was so successful that they continued to broadcast the Monkey Show.
Right.
It became so successful that the Monkeys, the original Monkeys, went on tour that year. And so I guess some enterprising company decided to launch the
Hey,
New Monkeys.
We gotta get the new monkeys, see?
Hey, I got an idea. The New Monkeys.
I like it. Keep telling me about it.
By the way, gentlemen, I'm sorry to report that in late January we lost Don Kirshner.
Did we really? I didn't know that.
Yes, we did.
Wow.
And who did the best Don Kirshner impersonation ever?
Paul
Schaefer.
Schaefer.
Really?
Now, anyone who lived in the United States and was a teenager or a youth in the 1970s,
Has hummed to a band singing, or a band that was put together by Don Kirshner.
well, no,
Don
not
Kirshner's
that.
rock concert, the show.
Don Kirshner's rock concert back in the 1970s. You did not have MTV or readily accessible media. You had no access to new bands.
Tonight.
So you'd stay up late at night
1 o'clock in the morning on
and,
Saturday
and
night.
wait to see what Don Kirshner was going to present.
Tonight we have a very exciting show. Alice Cooper.
It was kind of the Caucasian Soul Train.
Yes, it was.
That's really what.
Yes, it was.
Because their Soul Train was its predecessor.
Yes.
And there was nothing for really, I think, like white-oriented rock music at the time. And I think he introduced that.
Don Kirshner's rock concert
Right.
But he also put the Archies together.
Did he really?
in retribution for the Monkees.
Yeah.
Well, the Monkees, Don Kirshner put the Monkees together, and then they were, giving him a hassle. So he decided he's not going to deal with that anymore and just make a cartoon.
And then they did the Midnight Special. Remember that?
Genius.
That was.
I don't know if Midnight Special was Don Kirshner.
No, but it was kind of like.
Well, that was a rip.
That was
a
Wolfman
ripoff.
Jack.
Wolfman Jack.
Yeah. Now we're really going off deep end.
All right, yeah.
All right, back. How did we get talking about this?
You announced Don Kirshner's demise.
Don
passing.
Kirshner's dead. We were talking about the monkeys.
We were talking about the Diana.
We were talking about shooting in Brooklyn. I mentioned monkeys, and then that was that.
That went off on it in the audition.
Anyhow, folks out there, we have a great contest this month. Please go to our show notes.
Show notes.
I think maybe you're in your car or you're on a bicycle. Maybe you're on one of those large bicycles with a big wheel in the front. What are those called, Joe? Penny farthing. A penny. Maybe you're on a penny farthing.
Penny farthing?
Listening to the show.
You pulled that out of your head, huh?
Texting on a penny farthing.
Yes, listening to the show, and you don't have access to. You don't know. You can't retain all the goodness that we're talking about of these cameras. You want to go to the show notes to see exactly what we were talking about. I'm thrilled to announce that it's time for our Duane's Book of the Month.
Book of the month, book of the month. It's time for Duane's Book of the Month.
Now, I might have done this Book of the Month before, but
way.
Well, the thing of it is, now that we're taping it visually, there are some images I think we can show, and it has more significance.
Okay.
So I think, if we do rehash something we've already done.
I'll allow it.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Everybody has their famous, their like favorite famous photographer. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Mike Raso.
I knew you were going to say that.
Thank you,
did?
John.
How did you know that?
Come on,
I'm pretty predictable.
My favorite is Brett Weston. Would you like to hold this
Really?
up?
Oh, yes.
I like Henri Cartier-Bresson.
Brett Weston is the son of famous photographer Edward Weston, who really started the West Coast school of large format black and white landscape photography. And Brett Weston was just such a precocious individual. He became actually very, very well versed in using large format cameras when he was in his teens. And what I like about his work is that it's very, very abstract, and it's very, very highly detailed, and it just has a wonderful luminosity to it. He used to contact print 11 by 14 inch negatives. I mean, can you imagine that process? Jeez. You've seen my 4 by 5 inch camera, right?
Yes.
And you've seen an 8 by 10 camera, which is even bigger. Can you imagine 11 by 14 inch camera? I mean, that thing is this big.
It's like a Sony Betamax.
Yeah, it is. And he used to, go into the desert. He used to go into Southern California. He used to go into Mexico. And he used to actually process this film, the sheet film on this size camera, and contact print it, actually lay it. The contact printing process is where you're taking the film and you're putting it in contact with a piece of photographic paper. You're placing a layer of glass over it to make sure that there's a secure, not adhesion, but to make sure that there's no wrinkles or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're exposing it to a light and you're processing that paper. So it's not an enlargement.
Right.
You're getting every nuance and every detail that's present in that film. And he was doing this process when he was in his teens.
Wow.
So he became very, very well known at a very young age. And the thing about Brett Weston was, when he got older, he said, I'm going to burn all my negatives.
Why?
When I get to be 80 years old, I'm going to burn my negatives so that no one in the world will be able to print them, because no one can print my images the way that I can print them. And when he was 80 years old, there was a party at his house, I believe in Carmel Highlands, California, where he took his negatives, lit a fire in his fireplace, and proceeded to throw his entire life's work into the fireplace and burn it. Someone, I believe, stopped him. There was an entire movement of people, because it's a very large community of fine art photographers in the West Coast, who said, Brett, please don't do this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, people like Ansel Adams, they're donating their archive to, say, the, I believe, the Center for Creative Photography in Tucson, Arizona, so that further students can look at them.
People can get inspired
People
from
can get
it,
inspired from it. Maybe people can reinterpret your work later, but he didn't want to have anything to do with that. So I believe the body of his work he either burned in a fireplace or he soaked the negatives in water so that the emulsion would sooner or later be lifted off of the plastic base of the film. Again, they were destroyed.
He's a madman.
So I think that's interesting. I do love his work. I mean, that's the reason why I'm a Brett Weston fan.
Yeah.
I would love to buy one of his prints. They go into thousands of dollars. They're
He's a man of his word, that's for sure.
But that's one of my favorite books. It's called Brett Weston, Voyage of the Eye, and it's published by Aperture, which is a wonderful company which publishes a magazine called Aperture, and they publish fine art photography books. And it's readily available in paperback on Amazon and eBay. It usually goes for $20 to $25. So if you'd like to pick up a copy of it, it's pretty affordable.
I guess we know what to get Duane next Christmas, Mike.
Yes.
You got to find a Brett Weston print.
But
Save your pennies.
it's so amazing to me that someone would
Crazy
actually,
stuff.
they'd have just the sheer nerve to look at their life's work and just
Just
burn
when you're 80 years old and, maybe he was a little cuckoo by then.
Maybe. But he comes from a long line of fine art photographers. His father was, of course, Edward Weston, and his brother Cole Weston is a very well-known fine art color photographer as well.
These are amazing
And
photos. Holy crow,
Edward
man.
Weston's son, Kim Weston, is still alive. He lives in California, and he does a lot of fine art nude photography, and he runs workshops. This is probably one of his most famous images right here.
Is it really?
Yeah, and the thing about what he does is this. A lot of people claim that when you're doing black and white photography, you should have detail in shadows, and he kind of just reneged on that idea. If you look at a lot of these areas here, you'll see that they're just jet black.
Yeah.
And his work became known for showing a lot of areas of blackness in them because he used it as kind of a negative space versus the positive space of areas that show detail. So when you look at a lot of his pictures, they're really not high contrast, but they have a lot of black in them. And I personally like that. I mean, it has like a deep velvety look to it.
What is that?
And you look at it and you say, what is that?
It looks like another world.
And it's the kind of thing, exactly. You look at that and you say, it's another world. What is it a photograph of? And it's a very, very interesting thing. And it's a very interesting technique that he used, both in photographing it and printing it. And it's one of the reasons why I like his work so much.
Wow. Crazy.
Thank you, Duane.
You're quite welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to move right into what has become, in a very short period of time, a favorite for our listeners, which is we're starting to call Darkroom Corner.
Go into the darkroom corner.
Where I spent most of my adolescence.
A lot of FPP listeners have been experimenting by developing their own film, and a lot of FPP listeners now want to get into a little bit more of hands-on developing their own film. And before, I do have some letters from listeners, but I'll reserve them for after your discussion, Duane. One listener, this kind of leads into our discussion today on Rodinal. This is from Joe, the same Joe Lebrandi Cowan, that won our big contest.
Joe's having a big show.
Yeah.
He's having a big show. He's having a big week.
This is your week, Joe. Joe says, I developed my film in D76 mainly because that's all I have ever had and have known to buy. I'm interested in learning about different developers and what they do. I've heard a lot about Rodinal and Rodinal-like developers and have been anxious to try them out. My knowledge on how different developers work and what they do is very limited. Maybe you could discuss this on the show.
What show?
And this is perfect because not only are you discussing it, but that's what he's getting in his package, the Rodinal equivalent developer. It's like nuts.
It's
like
crazy.
all the planets have lined up.
It's crazy. The planets have lined up. Things are coming together, Mark, in ways I've never, ever thought they would.
So our darkroom corner, Duane, take it away.
We're going to discuss Rodinal today, and this is a great book. We've talked about it before. It's called The Darkroom Cookbook. Let's get a shot of that. This is by a guy I've known for many, many years. I've probably known him for 15 years, Steve Anshell. And whenever you want to know about a formula for paper developer or film developer or fixer, all sorts of chemistry that is esoteric, this is a great place to go. A lot of people want to know about Rodinal because as we discussed, I believe, on the last show, AGFA is no longer in the photography business.
Correct.
And Rodinal was a very, very popular developer with many, many people for its high sharpness. Developers do different things. Some of them are compensating because they can handle contrast. Some of them are known for the smoothness of the tonality. But Rodinal is known as a very, very high sharpness developer. Then AGFA stopped making Rodinal. What happened to it?
Yeah,
Where did
what
it go?
happened?
What happened to it? I'm using this developer to produce high sharpness negatives, and now I can't find it. Then, all of a sudden, all these little bottles of developer started popping up with something anol.
Oh, really?
Bluckety blucka anol.
Oh, no.
It sounds like Rodinal, right? And people would say, well, is that Rodinal or isn't it Rodinal? What is it? What is it? Well, it's Blodinol. Well, the thing of it is I'm going to read.
Blodinol.
I'm going to read directly from the Darkroom cookbook because I want people to fully understand what it is that they're getting when you get a Rodinal-like product. This formula is very similar to Agfa Rodinal. It's under Rodinal type developer. Rodinal is the oldest proprietary formula in use today. The original formula dating back to the 1880s.
Wow.
Can you?
Old West.
Old Wild West stuff.
Wow.
It's one of the first developers ever commercially made. Now, it is considered by some to be the finest all-around film developer, even for modern T-grain films. So, when you see something that says it's a Rodinal or Rodinal-like developer, they're using the chemistry that goes back to the 1880s. I don't think that Rodinal as an Agfa product was a proprietary formula, meaning it was secretive.
Couldn't have been.
No, I think this thing's been around.
They just marketed it.
They just marketed it under that name. So what I'm saying is, when someone gets a Rodinal-like product and they're saying, is this really Rodinal? It's probably exactly the same thing. The developing agent in it is p-aminophenol hydrochloride, which is significant only from the point of view that that particular developing agent is what gives it its high level of sharpness. You can mix it from scratch. If you buy this book, it'll tell you how to do it. But when you buy a brand of Rodinal-like developer, I think you're getting exactly the same thing as Agfa Rodinal, because the formula's been around for 130 years.
Right.
I don't think it's a secret.
No.
So Rodinal-like is probably, if I'm hearing you correctly, just Rodinal.
Equivalent,
I think you are hearing me correctly.
Hey,
I think it's the same thing.
you knocked and you came in.
Now, for practical considerations, what that means is most people diluted Rodinal 1 to 25, 1 to 50, 1 to 100, depending upon the length of time they wanted to process the film, that depending upon how grainy they wanted the film to be. The longer the time you immerse the film in the wet solution, the more grain you get.
Wow.
So if you dilute it stronger, 1 to 25 versus 1 to 100, it's a shorter developing time, therefore you get less pronounced grain. It's just a personal preference, and you have to run tests to see what you get. So when we're giving away this Rodinal type developer, I would say do a run at 1 to 25, do a run at 1 to 50, do a run at 1 to 100, have a look at your film, see if you like the grain, see if you don't, adjust accordingly. But it's probably the same thing as Rodinal.
And that's like 1 part Rodinal to 50 parts water.
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
It's very, very concentrated stuff.
Yes.
I mean, you look at
Apparently
D76.
so.
You look at D76. You make it from stock. It's 1 to 1.
Huh.
This is 1 to 100. It's amazingly concentrated stuff. So when he gets that Rodinal, don't pour that into the tank and just develop it straight.
Oh, yeah.
Your film will develop in 10 seconds. You don't want that. You definitely want to do a development run where you've diluted it as to what I just said and examine your results and see if it's usable. So that's what I got to say about Rodinal.
I'd love to know how it got its name, because I always think of it as a rat killer, poison, right?
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
It's Rodinal, folks. Come and get your Rodinal. Rat's a problem? Rodinal.
This one is about Rodinal. It's from a listener, Andrew. He says, this is about film developing. He says, I want to add a musing I had about your segment on development. Highly dilute development is something I've been using for years after being shown by a colleague. I use 1 + 100 of Rodinal, and once the developer is in the tank, I leave the film at room temperature for about 1 1/4 of an hour before stopping and fixing. I don't agitate or move the tank at all after initial 30-second shake, hence we call it stand developing. Well, he says there's no charts for developing, no worry about pushing or pulling, no worries about film speeds. The 1 + 100 Rodinal leave to stand for 1 1/4 of an hour and then carry on as usual is just perfect. The reason I prefer Rodinal is that it doesn't cause bromide fogging caused by a buildup of bromide ions in the developer, since it doesn't contain bromides. The fogging looks like uneven patches of overexposure, almost like glare in brighter areas of the image. So he's saying he prefers stand development, sort of like dilute it 1 to 100 and walk away.
Well, some people interchangeably use the terms stand development and highly dilute development to mean the same thing.
Right.
Stand development means you're not agitating the film.
Right.
So that areas of the film that have been exposed to a lot of light will exhaust the developer in contact with them quickly. Shadow areas that have not been exposed to that much light will continue development. So it's a way to tame contrast. Highly dilute developer sort of does the same thing, but you're doing it with developer dilution rather than lack of agitation. When you're using highly dilute developer, you can agitate somewhat. A lot of people use highly dilute developer in conjunction with no agitation, in other words, stand development, to achieve the same thing, but you can do either one.
What do you achieve by not agitating?
You reduce the contrast.
Yeah.
So you say I have a piece of film and there was a shadow of a building and really, really, really bright clouds. And if you develop that film normally, those clouds would just be black on the negative, you know. If you stand develop, what happens is the development in the area of the clouds happens really, really fast, and it's over with because it exhausts all that developer because there's so much light exposed to it. It stops development. The cloud area is developed, it stops. But it continues in the shadow area because there's not that much light exposed to it. It's sort of like the shadows, they're developed, they're done. I mean, the light areas are developed, they're done, the shadows continue. If you agitate, you continue bringing fresh developer in contact with the film, and it continues developing in both areas. Stand development, the development ends in the highlight areas, continues in the shadows. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Are there some folks who you think prefer to do a mix of the developer a little stronger so that they could be done in 10 minutes rather than sitting and waiting around?
I'm one of those people.
You just want to be done.
I process sheet film, tri-X-pan, in Rodinal 1 to 25 in 4 minutes. I just want it over with.
You want it over with.
Right.
There's some people maybe do their laundry, go to the store,
Right.
watch.
And I rotary process it too, which means not only is it getting it's not getting little to no agitation, it's constantly being agitated. But it depends what you photograph.
Of course.
If you're photographing a high contrast situation, then you want to use highly dilute or stand, or highly dilute and stand development in conjunction. You know, if you're shooting in soft light, which is what I like to do, then you don't have to worry about that.
Right. Interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around it
It is.
until you've
No, I
actually,
got it. I got it.
you know. I don't know if I hope I'm not. I don't know if I'm explaining clearly or not.
I'm pretty thick, and I got it.
I understand too. I mean, the stronger it is, the quicker it's going to go.
Right.
Dilute it, you can let it sit longer.
Let's sit longer, cook longer.
Yeah. James from Sydney, Australia has a question about Fixer. He says, I've been processing my own black and white for years, which is why I am writing following Alan Baxter's question in the last show. I don't remember that. Did we talk about Alan Baxter's question? He says, depending on where you live, it might be a bad idea to tip your used Fixer straight down the drain because of the silver it has collected from the film. And a tip is to use steel wool in a container used to collect your exhausted Fixer. Through the wonders of chemistry, and the steel and Fixer react. Therefore, the liquid will become safe to flush with wastewater. Any thoughts on this chemistry? I mean, people just getting into chemistry. I mean, it used to be in the 1970s and 80s. When you're done, you dump it. I know that sounds kind of funny and shocking today, but back in the 70s and 80s, you didn't really
People
think
used to dump their used oil down the sewers when they changed their
There was a
car
guy
oil.
on my
I swear
street who used to
God.
do that. You go, there he is, and he'd have like a bucket of oil.
Dump
Dump it in the sewer.
For real?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a guy on my street who used to dump oil. He used to change his own oil in his car. He used to dump it down the sewer.
So changing, or all these development chemicals, dumping them down the sink is the same thing,
It's not,
isn't it?
What should we done with these chemicals, Duane?
in Fixer.
Yes.
There's a lot of silver in it.
Yep.
Because you've removed.
Should you pan it?
You've reduced. You have unreduced silver halide and the
Yep.
film, and it gets it's in that Fixer. And the correct way to do it is there are fixer silver recovery systems.
No
You
kidding.
ever heard this stuff?
No.
It's an actual machine, and you pour, I think you just pour the fixer in it, and it has something to do with, I don't know, ion exchange or whatever, and like it's the same principle as putting the steel in it, but I believe it has an electrical charge as well,
Right.
and it collects the silver onto, I don't know whether it's some collection system.
Right.
Then you can supposedly safely dump the used fixer down the drain or get rid of it, and you've recovered the silver. I think people use it just because they want to sell the silver.
Oh,
I was going to say, can
you could bring the
use
silver to the
Yeah.
jewelry
Yeah, I mean,
store?
if you're a photo lab and you've gone through thousands
Yeah.
of gallons of fixer,
imagine.
you have a handful of silver there.
No kidding.
And I think they used. I
Silver's
think
like
they,
$300 an ounce, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they used to do that for money. I don't think it was an
60 bucks an
environmental concern, but because even if you get the silver out, it's still got sulfur in it. I mean, it's ammonium thiosulfate. It has ammonia in it. It's
not good
NH4.
Someone
it's
will
got
treat
sulfur
it, though.
in it. What?
Someone will take that and treat it and make silver out of it again, right?
I think it'll end up as bling.
Oh, okay.
The thing of
It'll end up in Little Wayne's mouth.
That's right. The thing of it is, fixer's nasty stuff anyway. Whether you put the steel wool in it or not, it's nasty stuff.
Right.
It's ammonium thiosulfate. It's got ammonia. It has sulfur and it has silver in it now after the
goodness.
fix. So I mean, what do you do with it?
Exactly.
What are you supposed to do with it?
Dump it in your backyard.
Speaking of fixer,
It's supposed to be an amazing fertilizer.
oh, is that right?
Yes. And what most people do is they actually use it to fertilize things.
For
You're
real?
right. You're exactly right.
Isn't it noxious, though? I mean, you can't, fertilize your garden with it.
I wouldn't eat food that was fertilized with it, but can you get it in flour?
not?
Now, Drew from Denver, Colorado, he has a question about fixer. He says, "I'm not going to have ventilation like I'd have in a real darkroom, and I know every fixer I've used had a requirement for it. I guess a ventilation requirement. How critical is ventilation in home development?
Very.
Can I get by using standard fixer, or do I need to hunt around for one that doesn't have the requirement for ventilation, if such a thing exists? As an aside, what's the big deal on hardening versus non-hardening fixers? I see a lot of cautions against hardening ones, but no real reason why."
All right, fixers, the fixing agent is either ammonium or sodium thiosulfate. And as I said, there's sulfur in it and there's ammonia in it, and you don't want to breathe ammonia fumes.
That'll hurt your brain.
Yeah, and you don't want to breathe sulfur. No. You don't want to breathe it. You want to have adequate ventilation. If you're working in an environment where you can't get adequate ventilation, then wait until you can. You
You
don't,
don't
want to
mind children with 7 fingers and 3
Well, what
eyes.
about these folks that are developing in their bathrooms and there's no fan? What do you do?
Well, I think it depends what kind of development you're doing. If you're doing development in a container like a drum, then you're not breathing the fumes.
Right.
If you're doing open tray development,
Oh,
Mike,
yes.
then you're breathing the fumes, right?
Yes.
Sure.
You don't want to do that. No. Hardening versus non-hardening fixer. There are certain developers of film that, for some reason, they don't work well with hardening fixers. Hardeners were added to fixers to make the finished film more scratch resistant. That's the reason why they were added. And a lot of people don't like to use hardening fixers because for some reason some developers you're not supposed to use them with it. Like I know if you use Pyrogalol as a developer, like Gordon Hutchings, PMK Pyro or Pyromax, you're not supposed to use a hardening fixer. No one's explained to me why you're not supposed to. I don't see the reason.
Okay.
I don't think there's a reaction going on.
Is there a compromise by using it?
What do you mean by
Compromising the image at all?
I don't think so. I don't really know though. Maybe if someone out there knows the reason why you should not use a hardener in a fixer with certain types of developer, they can write in. Some people think it's harder to wash out. That's why you shouldn't use it.
Well, when you go to Freestyle, you walk in and just buy a general fixer. Is it hardening or non-hardening?
It should say it on the label.
Are generally speaking most non-hardening or hardening?
Most are hardening.
Okay. All right.
You know, it's just something that they
So
incorporate.
you'd have to ask specifically for a non-hardening.
The best reason I've been given why you shouldn't use a hardener in a fixer is that it takes longer to wash the fixer out of the film or paper, so don't put it in.
Right.
But
Okay.
I've used it in everything I've ever done, and I've never had a problem with anything, so there
So
you go.
screw those guys.
What do they know?
Well, fantastic. Well, that about wraps
Very
up.
informative segment there.
That was
Serious.
fantastic. As
Freaking-tastic.
more and more of our listeners are getting into home development,
Home cooking.
home cooking. Yes, indeed. That about wraps up this particular podcast.
Does it?
Episode number 27. With
I got nothing.
waiting for John to say
I
something.
got nothing.
With these amazing contests that we announced. Always write to us, filmphotographypodcast@gmail.com.
Yo.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Some more exciting stuff.
Yes, with Lady Gaga.
Are we giving stuff away?
No, we gave about 1 million things away.
I know,
today.
but I'm sorry.
No, March 1st we're giving away.
Okay.
And we'll be giving away, what are we giving away next time?
We're giving away.
Leftover
Film.
Valentine's Day candy.
We're not giving away film.
Oh no, that's March 1st.
Jays, huh?
Next time we announce
Hey.
our contest again.
Edith. What?
Some good stuff coming up though, folks. So
I'm in the dark room, Archie. I'm sniffing some fixer.
so until next time, we'll see you.
Cheers.
Ha ha ha!